At DC Soccer Club, the U8 year is a key moment in a player's journey. It marks the beginning of the competitive player pathway, where families face exciting choices, from pre-travel to select to travel, each designed to meet players where they are in their development. In this episode of Beyond the Sidelines, we explore the U8 pathway with the coaches and leaders who guide it. Today, we are focusing on the travel program.
My name is Matt Arrington, and I'm the Director of Soccer at DC Soccer Club. It's become an important piece of the pathway here at DC Soccer Club, just because we saw that it became this culmination of where many of our programs were starting, and we felt that, if we could get ahead or further ahead of the development pathway for each kid, if we could start it earlier and build the foundation earlier, then why not do that, right? If we had the interest level from the families in the club and the players in the club wanting to be that committed at that age, the further we can get ahead of the development process, technically and tactically, getting these kids thinking and making decisions following the travel curriculum, we thought that would be more useful in terms of the longer term development of these players. The rec program has a really good foundational curriculum that helps to build those foundational skills, right? Basic understanding of the game, understanding the laws of the game, how it's played, getting kids out there and having fun and enjoying what they're doing, which is such an important piece of that pyramid of development that we're trying to build for these players. It's really something that is going to take this even further forward and provide more for these kids at that age group. So we felt it was important to make sure that families had options at this age. We didn't want anyone to feel by any means that they were pressured to let's say, move in a specific direction or have to make a decision at this age to go to travel or rec. Really at this time, we feel that pre-travel offers one kind of commitment level and one kind of option for families who may be looking to start to make that move from rec to travel. Select is very much what we see as maybe termed like travel light, for example, where they now move under the realm of the travel department. They start to participate in an outside league from DCSE. They start to get a taste of what travel soccer looks like and the cadence that comes along with it. So they're training 2 times a week. They're playing on the weekend. They participate in 1 tournament a year versus maybe 2 or 3 that a full travel team would have. They also have a lighter winter season where they're just training 1 time a week and not playing in a league. Then you make that jump to travel. Now you're really kind of all into that environment, right? You have multiple practices each week. You have 1 to 2 games on a weekend, depending on how things shape up for your schedule. You have multiple tournaments. The expectation is the winter that you're training 1 to 2 times a week, and you're also playing in a winter league. So it's just really tiered commitment, right? And that's really where you see the big difference, and that's the communication at the end of the day to any family or to any player who's interested in any of those levels. It's really gauging what their commitment is or their desired commitment is. Tryouts are a really important piece of obviously how we form teams, but more importantly, where we ensure players fit, right, in terms of what their developmental needs are. Tryouts are an imperfect process, and I say that speaking across the whole soccer landscape, because what we've come to realize and understand is that we don't want to be making decisions on players during a week-long tryout where maybe we see them for 2 to 3 hours, right? We want to make decisions on players as best we can over a much longer period of time, a much larger data set. So something that we're doing at DCSE, obviously only with the players internally, because we can't track the players outside of our club, but the players inside of our club, we're tracking on a monthly basis. We have a touch point where we make a decision or make a determination in terms of where we think that player is in terms of their level and their development, and we do that monthly. So then by the time we get to tryouts, we have a full slate of data on every single player in the club. We have a sense of where we think they fit best, and then we combine that with what we see at tryouts to make the most educated, informed decision possible on every player in this club to ensure they're playing at the right level. So it's not just tryouts, but it's tryouts tied with our tracking, again, to make sure players are at the appropriate level for the upcoming year. First and foremost, we don't want anybody to feel pressure, right? You have options, and it's important to understand at the end of the day, there's no wrong decision by any means. What I think is important is to do your homework, make sure you understand what each program offers, get out to the environment, see what a PTA session looks like, see what a select team looks like, see what the commitment level and a training session for a travel team looks like. Weigh out what makes sense for your family logistically, right? If your kid has 3 or 4 other programs they're doing, then maybe they're not ready to commit to a travel team just yet. Maybe a select team makes more sense, right? Maybe you're just looking to transition from a rec level, where then PTA may make the most sense, where you're getting a deeper understanding of the game. There's a slight uptick in commitment, but you're not going to be, traveling on the weekend or playing in a tournament at any point of the year. So just understanding kind of what the needs are of your child from a developmental standpoint, but also the commitment level from not just the kid, but the family. It's important to also note, you can always reach out to us. You can always reach out to anyone in any one of our departments, whether it's, the travel department, the rec department, or the programs department, and you can get answers from us and we can help clarify stuff, but no pressure. There's no wrong answer. Success for us in the travel program for DC Soccer really ties to the player development piece. We want to ensure that players are gradually learning and hitting milestones over the course of their time with the club, where ultimately when they get to a certain age, let's say, older age groups, the high school age groups, where we start to see players who are making decisions on their own during the game. Players who are taking what we're teaching in training and what's coming through our, principle-based training method, where we as the coaches are seeing that they have autonomy on the field. That's success ultimately. We can talk about, yes, does a player have individual success? Does the team win games? Do they win tournaments? Does a kid go to college? Those are all, important kind of cherries on the top, which are results of the work that's being done. But ultimately, that is success for us. Players who are autonomous and can make decisions on their own based on what they've been taught. And again, that starts all the way back at U8. That's where the foundation is built. And then we're just layering stuff on top of that as the years go by.
All right, well, I'm Coach Mo. This is my first year with DCSC. I'm the head coach of the U9 and U10 Blue teams here at DC, and I was also the age group director for U8, U9, and U10. I mean, the age group is a very focal point of development of soccer because it's the entry level to travel soccer, right? So it's very important that a lot of things go the right way for this age group because it's the first time that they're seeing a lot of these things. Like, for example, I think it's very important to develop and foster the love for the game at this age because once these kids fall in love with the game this early, there's no telling how far they'll go with it, you know what I mean? So I think that's very important for us to do. And as well as teaching the fundamental things, right? Because these are the ages where you gotta, do a lot of ball mastery drills, a lot of technical things because we don't really worry too much about the physical attributes until later on. But by that time that becomes a factor, you've already done the fundamentals, right? Which is, how to control, how to pass, how to shoot, and how to dribble, which is very important. And that's something we spend a lot of time on with these kids at this age.
My name is Edu de Souza. I'm the technical director at DC Soccer Club, and I'm glad to give you some information about how we play soccer. On the early ages of the game is important 2 aspects: ball control and 1v1 battles, defensively and offensively. On the tactical side, it's important for the players understand defensively roles and offensively roles. On the defense, it's important to understand pressure, cover, and team shape. I'm gonna show here on the board. Especially here, the reds are defending and the blues are attacking. So the player on the blue is looking for to find this player. If the players play a flat line on the defense side, it's very important for them understand that this one play can beat both players at the same time. The defenders needs to understand what pressure means and what coverage means and team shape. On the attacking side, when the players are building up, they have the line that allow them to bring the ball up. What's important on the youth is for those other players understand they need to be positioning and hold their position until the ball gets to them. After that, the team can move up and start to create angles, to receive the ball and attack the goal. I think what's very important is for the players understand the formation and actually play the formation. We use 2 different formations. 1-3-2-1, that's with the goalkeeper, 3 center backs, 2 center mids, and 1 striker, what we call the Christmas tree as well. Or we play the formation that's 1-2-3-1 as the goalkeeper, 2 center backs, 1 midfielder, 2 wingers, and 1 striker. So positions are very important. How they learn how to build from the back back, how they understand their roles when they go up in the field, who can go attack, who can go defend. That's what's unique about us. We teach the game per the formations, and the kids and the players can understand their role. The sessions for our players needs to be taken as a classroom, like an education system. So when you go to a classroom in your school, there is a part that you're going to have fun with the teacher or the professor, and there is a part that you need to really focus hard and pay attention to learn the subject. So for us, it's a mix of having drills that they can have fun, having drills that they need to be very focused, specific on training. For example, technical drills that they need to use the left foot, the right foot, the outside of the foot, the sole of the foot, which requires a lot of attention. And there is a part that you're going to mix those together, and usually we advise our coaches to, in the end of the sessions, play a scrimmage, where they're going to have fun playing soccer, but at the same time competing and have a focus to score goals and win the game. The best advice outside of practice for you increase your technical skills is find a wall. You can go in tennis courts, you can go in the wall near to your neighborhood and touch as many times as you can in the ball. I think the difference between the young players is we need to really focus a lot on technique, ball control, understand nuances of the game in terms of position. But then when you go to academy, they need to be more central in understand tactically the game, because that's what we require, how to defend as a block, how to attack as a block, who can go up, who can go down, who needs to hold positions, why the goalkeeper needs to be out of this goal when the ball is in deeper on the attack. So the difference is on the young age in the academy, I think is focus on tactical more. Of course, the skills is always something that you can help, especially on the young group. But as you're growing older, the skills is going to be minimized in terms of skills. It's going to be physical, tactical, and how do you respond for adversity.
So the parents have a really important role coming into let's say U8, right? Kind of their entry level into travel. It's a new environment for a lot of them. It's obviously a new environment for the kids. It's a new level of expectations. It's a new level of commitment. And again, commitment for a U8 kid means commitment for the family, right? It's everybody playing a role in sacrificing time and effort and money and all these kind of things to participate. What's really important to understand for parents is, one, to first off, ask questions, right? Make sure that you're gaining education. If there's something that you don't have clarity on, whether it be when and where is practice, right? How early should I be showing up to games? What should we be doing to best prepare my child for training or for a game? Should I be doing stuff outside of practice as well? Those are all questions you should be asking and getting answers to from your coach. Also, just understanding what your role is, let's say, during training or on game day. I think at the travel level, we want to make sure that the environment is as professional and as organized as possible, right? We want to make sure the environment we create for the players is conducive to their development and their focus on task at hand, right? So maybe that means parents stay off to the side a little bit more. Parents don't step onto the field at all during training, right? Maybe you're not bringing the water to your kid, but your kid is taking the responsibility at this level to have, their water and their shoes and all their stuff ready at this level of play, right? It's just kind of little things like that maybe put the responsibility on the player just slightly a bit more than what they were used to before. And I think ultimately parents should be asking the questions in terms of what is my kid learning, right? Just like they would be in school. It's our responsibility as a club and as a staff and as coaches to make sure that there's a clear plan that we can show you, hey, this is what we're teaching your kid. These are the milestones that we are working for them to hit right at the end of a particular year or at the end of a particular age group. All those things are questions that parents should have answers to and should absolutely take the time to ask and have an understanding of.
So it's very important to take good, proper care and time into development of players and not rush them into things they're not ready for, so that when they get there, they're actually ready. In the beginning, you can ask them to do a simple drill, right? Some will catch on faster than others, but as you go, right, as the season goes, the week goes, and you start to see who's actually picking it up and who's actually like going from here all the way to the next level, and you can tell, right? You just got to pay close attention, and it's not easy to do because you have a lot of kids, but as a coach, that's the job, right? You got to be able to see everything around you, you got to be able to monitor everything around you, and you got to make sure you pay attention and be intentional about that. It's very crucial, actually. I'm glad you asked me that. And the advice I would give them is to just be patient, right? And not try to rush the kid's development, right? That's very important, because you can try to feel like, this kid should play at the highest level, but if the coach doesn't feel that way, this is a coach for a reason, right? You got to make sure you trust in the coach and be patient, right? Because everything takes time, especially everything worth keeping in life takes time. So you can't just rush, certain things. But biggest advice would just be to be patient and be supportive, right? And make sure you ask questions. Communicate with the coach as well, right? Because you might have a different version of the kid at home than the coach has in the practice ground, So it's good to make sure you guys are on the same page so that you can actually do what's best for the kid.
When you are young, it's very important the skills, the fun, and also a little bit of tactics too. And more than most, make soccer a sport that you love, that you're passionate about it, and that you want to be playing your whole life, even when you finish the club here at DC Soccer Club.
At DC Soccer Club, the U8 pathway isn't about one size fits all. It's about finding the right environment, building a foundation, and inspiring a love for the game that lasts a lifetime.